Hi, it's time to read chapter 2 in Walter Brown, Magician's Hat. Okay, so we're on chapter 2, page 10. I disappeared. Oh, see, I'm magic. I'm magic. Oh my gosh, page 10. I'm magic. I'm magic. Okay, chapter 2, a talking cat. Wow, Sixpence, said Walter, picking up the hat. It's from Great-Grandpa Horace. Remember, he got the hat and the gloves and the wand for his 10th birthday. Now we're talking, said Sixpence, still unheard. Well, go on. Go and put it on then. So the cat's talking, but Walter can't hear him. Walter picked up the hat and carried it carefully towards his mirror. Slowly and ceremoniously, he lifted the hat above his head and then lowered it on. That looks fantastic, cried Sixpence. Thanks, said Walter, beaming. Now, Walter freeze-framed and glanced at his cat's reflection in the mirror. Did you just say something? He asked, his eyes popping. But then he immediately felt ridiculous and snorted a half chuckle. Sure, cried Sixpence. I said the hat looks fantastic. Walter grasped his hat by the brim, stepped 2 paces back, and fell flat on his back on his bed. And by the way, I'm 6th sense, not sixpence, said Sixpence with a sigh. Have you any idea what it's like being called the wrong name for 5 whole years? Walter slowly sat up, his mouth wide open, his eyes saucer-like. He tried to speak, but the words stuck tight. So that's what Walter looks like right now. Very surprised. Come on, Walter, get a grip, said Sixpence. We've got things to do before the grown-ups wake. Now, please close your mouth and get that ridiculous expression off of your face. So Sixpence, his cat, is talking to him now. Walter jerked out of his trance and snapped his mouth shut. Now, hang on a minute, he said indignantly. You've got some explaining to do. You can't just expect me to wake up on my 10th birthday and start talking to my cat, who, by the way, I find rather rude. Typical curious young boy, said Sixpence, parading round the room with her tail in the air. Mind you, curiosity is no bad thing, not even for us cats. She stopped and twisted to lick the top of her left leg. In fact, she continued, looking back up at Walter, it's just what the doctor ordered. Pardon? Said Walter. If you're going to talk in riddles, we might as well forget it. He reached to remove his hat. Don't do that, said Sixpence. She flashed her green eyes. You won't hear me. Sorry, said Walter slowly. Then, still clutching the hat brim, he narrowed his eyes and grinned at the cat mischievously. In that case, don't tempt me to take it off. Now, tell me what's going on. Why can I hear my cat talk? Sixpence stretched out her front legs and pushed her bottom tail into the air, like this picture here. Okay, she said, clawing at the carpet as Walter looked on with a frown. I suppose I do owe you an explanation, now that we've officially become partners. Partners? Yes, Walter, partners, you and me. She came out of her stretch and sat down, then lifted her left paw and started washing her face. "Can you stop doing that, please?" said Walter crossly. Okay, okay. She placed her paw back down and looked up at Walter. "Well," she began, "it all started when I was born. I was the sixth in a litter, and early on, my mother spotted I was special." She stood up and began stalking around the room, tail high again. Of course, everyone knows we cats have a sixth sense. You know, sensing when something's about to happen. She narrowed her eyes. Telephones ringing, doorbells going, that sort of stuff. In that way, we are, of course, superior to you humans, she added, darting a sideways glance at Walter. Superior? That's a bit cheeky, scoffed Walter. Anyway, I was born with an unusually strong dose of numero six. Sixth sense went on, to an extent that I see happenings far in the future as well. That's how I knew about great-grandpa's Horace's present. What? Walter's eyebrows shot up. You mean you knew great-grandpa Horace would give me a magician's outfit today? Of course I did. I've known since the day your mom bought me from that lady at the mobile library. And there's something else. Go on, said Walter slowly. Surely nothing could surprise him now. Sixth Sense green eyes seemed to glow with pride. Well, Walter, I can also see into the past. And it turns out that my great, she paused and shook her head. Actually, I lose counts of how many greats, but my great, whatever number it is, grandmother belonged to your great grandpa. Walter's mouth fell open. What? You're descended from my great grandpa's cat? Yep, said Sixth Sense triumphantly. How? What? Walter struggled to push his words out. Well, said Sixth Sense, when your great grandpa went away with the circus, he gave my great, etc., grandma to a woman who ran a perambulating library. She narrowed her eyes. That's a mobile library to you. So perambulating means mobile. It moves. The library moves. She continued, and my great, whatever the number is, grandma went on to have kittens who had more kittens and so on. And over the years, they got passed to the owners and customers of the library at other mobile libraries. And that's when you came in, Walter, because you're the only one who persuaded your mom to rescue me from that awful fussy woman at your mobile library. What a relief that was, I can tell you. She glanced at the ceiling and seemed to shudder. Walter replayed the story in his mind, clearly picturing the morning he tugged at his mom's hand and pleaded with her to take one of the kittens the lady had for sale in a basket under her desk. So this is the kittens here. You can see it if I'm magic enough. Here, get my face in there. This is the basket of kittens. And sixpence is this one. 6 cents, excuse me. So he asked his mom for a kitten. He picked Sixpence because he liked her name and the look in her eyes. He was only 5 then, but right now it felt like yesterday. Sixth Sense leapt onto the bed, interrupting his daydream. So you see, Walter, we've been chosen, you and me. Her green eyes lit up. Isn't it exciting? Chosen? Chosen for what? Walter, still trying to take in everything since Sixth Sense has said. He started to dress himself. He wasn't sure he was ready for yet more surprises. I'm not sure, the cat squinted thoughtfully up at the window. All I know is it involves traveling abroad. Abroad? It means traveling to another country. Walter heard himself reply in a high voice. I don't know when or where or what exactly happens, Sixth Sense went on. But what I do know is your great-grandpa has something to do with it, and you'll need to perform magic when the time comes. That means we must get some practice in. And pronto. She narrowed her eyes. That's soon to you. So the word pronto means soon. Walter's eyes started to glaze over as he pictured himself performing magic in the distant land in Great-Grandpa Horace's outfit. Was he destined to follow in his footsteps around the cities of Europe, making headlines with his magic tricks? If he were, that really would be a dream come true. Said Sixth Sense. Oops, sorry, said Walter, coming out of his trance. Okay, practice. So, where do we start? Well, said Sixth Sense, pacing up and down. How about something close to home? Like what? Sixth Sense paused, then slipped him a sideways glance. Like the Braithwaite twins up in Cotswold Close? What, Harry and George? Walter tried to sound casual, but already his heart was fluttering. The twins had moved into one of the big new houses at the top of the road the week before Todd moved out. Their dad rode a Harley Davidson and worked in film, according to Todd. And their mom was a famous actress, or at least someone else had told Todd that. Walter was dying to meet them, but hadn't yet plucked up the courage to knock on their door in case it looked like sucking up. He'd even thought about asking them to his birthday party, but he got cold feet when he started writing out an invitation. They just seemed so much cooler than him. That's right, Harry and George, said Sixth Sense. Perhaps you could impress them with some magic. I know you've been dying to meet them. Walter shot a startled look at her. Hey, how did you know that? You're not a mind reader too, are you? Not exactly, said Sixth Sense. But I pick up a lot on things, on a lot that's going on around me. Sorry, partner, I can't help it. She sighed. Usually happens when I'm falling asleep. Most annoying. Walter felt his cheeks flush. He just hoped that Sixth Sense couldn't pick up on all of his thoughts. Okay, so all we need is a plan, said Sixth Sense. Any thoughts? Walter tapped his chin with his forefinger. Well, if I have a dad with a Harley Davidson, a mom who was a film actress, and my own personal cinema room with a 75-inch TV, I think I need a lot of impressing. Do you really think I'm up to this, Sixth Sense? I mean, I don't want to make an idiot of myself. Unnoticed by Walter, Sixth Sense fur had begun to stand on end. That cinema room of theirs is pretty awesome, Walter went on, adjusting his hat in the mirror. You can practically watch their screen from the other side of the street. It's so big. And they've got really cool games. Not that Todd and I spied on them or anything. Sixth Sense sprang to the ground, her eyes green and sparkling. Television. Brilliant idea, Walter. Pardon? Walter furrowed his brow as he stared at his cat. Now listen carefully, said Sixth Sense. I happen to know that Harry and George will be putting on their new Planet Voss monster battle game at just after 10 o'clock this morning. Why don't we try out some magic on that? So the two boys are going to be playing a video game on their TV, on their giant TV. Butterfly nerves began tickling inside Walter's tummy, but he instantly willed them away. He was curious to know whether or not he could really make magic happen, and his heart beat fast at the prospect. The butterfly thing always happened with a dare, like the time Todd dared him to jump off his shed roof. It had taken Walter all of 10 seconds to quell his nerves. thanks to a TV program he'd once seen called Mind Over Matter, and a brilliant jump it had been too. Now you're the gaming expert, said Sixth Sense. What magic trick would you like to try in their game? Walter frowned. Wow, I don't know. What have I got to choose from? Anything you'd like, partner. That's why it's called magic. Walter thought hard, but try as he might, his mind remained stubbornly blank, like a switched off TV, in fact. 30 seconds ticked by. I've got it, cried Sixth Sense, jerking Walter out of his trance. Why don't we spirit away all of the game monsters? Walter raised his eyebrows in horror. That would be stealing, he gasped. We can't do that. Of course we can't, partner. It's magic, not stealing. Besides, Grandpa Horace did say, have fun. Sixth Sense brushed against Walter's lower legs, her tail in the air. Your birthday party's not until this afternoon, Walter, so we've got time this morning to try it. A smile began to spread across Walter's face, then froze. Hang on a minute. If the twins know I've performed magic, then my secret's out, isn't it? I can't have the whole town knowing I'm a real magician, can I? They might take Great-Grandpa Horace's things away from me. Where is the sixth sense in that? He rolled his eyes and shook his head. Darn it, Sixth Sense lowered her tail and sat down. Sorry, Walter. Got a bit carried away there. Devil's in the details, my mother used to say. She cocked her head to one side and gazed out the window deep in thought. Ha, she said. Why don't we do it from across the road? You said you can see their TV from outside, right? Walter nodded, but then started to frown, realizing this meant he wouldn't get to meet the twins after all. What's more, Sixth Sense went on, this way we can get Harry and George to come out and meet you without having you to suck up and knock on their door. How does that work? Said Walter, blushing as he realized Sixth Sense had picked up on his sucking up things from his thoughts. All will become clear. Trust me, partner. You get to practice your magic in secret, and you get to meet the twins. Sixth Sense stood up and started to parade around the room again. Walter pulled his great-grandfather's note from his jeans and read it again. Slowly, he started to grin. Sixth Sense was right. This would be fun. If the trick worked, the boys would probably think they just unlocked a new level in their game. And if it didn't, he wouldn't have made an idiot of himself in front of them. Either way, he'd get to meet Harry and George. Sixth Sense had promised. What could possibly go wrong? Walter splayed out his fingers and pulled each of his white gloves further up the wrists. So he put on his gloves. Perfect, he said, turning to look at himself in the mirror. He picked up the wand, held it aloft, and tapped it in the side of his hat 3 times for good luck, like he's in the picture here. Okay, this picture here. Okay. He just hoped that his Grandpa Horace would approve of their plan. Happy birthday, darling. Wow, you've been busy. Walter swung around to see his mother standing in his doorway in her dressing gown. Oh, hi, Mom. His mind blanked and his cheeks began to burn. In panic, he glanced at Sixth Sense, who looked every inch a normal cat. Well, go on, say something, said Sixth Sense impatiently. Morning, Sixpence, said Walter's mother, beaming. Walter gulped in panic, waiting for the cat's reply, but nothing came. Gosh, thanks for all the great presents. The heat from Walter's cheeks subsided as he realized that his mother hadn't heard a word his cat had uttered. Sorry for not waiting, he stuttered. Sixpence woke me up and I couldn't get back to sleep. His mom chuckled. That's fine, darling. I'd have done exactly the same thing on my 10th birthday if I'd woken up early. Can you believe Great Grandpa Horace's magician's outfit? Said Walter, holding up his wand and tapping his hat. I certainly can. He told us he was going to leave it to you on the day you were born. You were the only boy in his family, you know, Walter. Just daughters and granddaughters before that. But he made us promise to keep it a surprise until your 10th birthday. It looks great. Walter thought for a moment. Did he ever have a cat? He asked, darting a glance at Sixpence. I have no idea. What a funny question, Walter. Now come on and show your outfit to Dad. Walter's mom turned down the hall. By the way, she said over her shoulder, were you just talking to yourself just now? Walter's cheeks started to tingle again. Well, sort of, he replied in a high voice, just practicing my first tricks. Out of the way now, Sixpence. Walter's mother raised her left foot and nudged the cat out of her path with the tip of her slipper. Sixpence scowled and shot ahead down the hall as Walter tried not to smirk. Okay, that's chapter 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to write your summary sentences. Thanks.